to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Be a part of the show by calling 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876, or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter @Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. And you might want to remember at least a couple of those. Whatever works for you best here. If it's working out fine, if you need a backup, well, maybe keep it in mind. But in any case, make sure you're linked in with that, because today, that most important, well, for us anyway, day of the week, Free for All Friday is what we call it. And what that means is that as much as we try as much as possible to focus on all of the issues that affect us here in the borderland and that local lens on it, this day, all gloves come off here, and we really delve into it and dig into the deep stuff by really getting to all of the topics that you all have. We take on all callers, all comers, all comments, and all topics today. Just keep it clean, particularly if you're calling in here. Don't have to boot you off the line here, as we have Edgar Ortiz joining us over on the social media, Facebook. Glad to have you along with us here as we are rolling this train closer to the weekend. I don't quite consider this the weekend yet, though we're definitely on the cusp of it. It's definitely in sight here, but we are getting into all the subjects here and doing that throughout both hours of the program. So if you're wanting to get on the line, phone line's already open here. That number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Special shout out to, and apologies if I'm only remembering the first letter of the name, Jay, I think came and saw me out while we are out over, technically on our sister station, Sunny 99.9 earlier, saying listens to the show every day, so special shout out there. We occasionally do things on other stations here, so I don't necessarily mention them here, but if you're listening, you're paying attention, you might find one of those places I'm out in the wild, so to speak. But if you're still just wanting to talk about the things affecting us here in the borderland or beyond, as we do today, you're definitely in the right place. Couple of things I just want to bring up, because don't worry, we're not getting into a ton of other things, but just incredibly related, let's just say, to what we have already been talking about here. If you would just take a glance over at the homepage of our news partners there at KFOX 14, a number of things that have been coming up and have been at issue, and even just our recent discussions, again, including from yesterday, where we did get the chance and opportunity to speak with Deputy City Manager Mario D'Agostino with the Office of Personnel Management. The Office of Emergency Management. There we go. I'm remembering a former agency I did contracting work with there, brain fart on my part, but about what has been going on and the idea of trying to prevent essentially releases on the streets. And, well, is getting reported today. Some of y'all, the whole conversation about buying it or not here, and some allusions to snow to Eskimos, I think, were made. Maybe I was just thinking that in my head here. In any case, the idea of actually releases happening in El Paso, again, our news partners at KFOX 14 reporting that they are increasing and continuing to grow in our area, with the El Paso Border Patrol sector, quoting directly from the releases from them, quote, the highest encounters at the moment than seen before here, with more than 1,100 daily migrant encounters being recorded, again, according to the El Paso Border Patrol sector, a significant increase in encounters compared to previous fiscal years, because that has pretty much been the pattern previously, is that things would be happening around us, maybe even on the other side of us, depending on what was going on with the caravans or the surges or the unaccompanied minors, all of that kind of things going on. It was never really sourced here. This was not the inception point. We were then on the periphery of them and having issues show up here for other processing. So the fact that it is continuing to happen right here is another major shift here, and including then on Wednesday. So the day we conducted the interview here, 133 released due to high capacity of migrants and holding at the El Paso Sector Central Processing Center, again, according to Border Patrol, with then another 350 released as of yesterday. So we are seeing quite a lot of activity in our area and a whole lot of strain on resources here. Oh yeah, RJ corrected me. Ice water in the deserts. Okay, so maybe a little bit more persuasive here. So maybe I just thought it in my head about not being able to sell snow to Eskimos here. I mean, that's often the sign of a good salesman if I'm getting my illusions right here anyway. And Barbara Codasco is saying over there, just reported another 130 to be released on our streets shortly, with San Diego making a statement here, so we can bring you from that, from what our news partners are out there gathering from us as we're on air here. But in any case, there's a lot to talk about here with this, but also all the other subjects, and so I don't want to demean our purpose here of doing Free for All Friday as we do. So again, that phone number, if you want to get on, we have some pull up at the moment already, but you know we'll be taking it throughout both hours of the show here. So again, that number to call is 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM, with Ida Beza Gardner also chiming in over on the social media. Hello to you as well. Well, let's get to those phone lines. We do have Ben on the east side here with us right now. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. I found this to be very interesting. This last week, a published study was released from from two medical publications, Science Direct and a journal called Vaccine. Multiple researchers from Europe, Australia, lead researchers from Louisiana, and from the British Medical Journal said they found a combined 16% higher risk of serious adverse events for mRNA vaccine recipients. This study was done on follow-up data on all-cause severe adverse effects. Severe adverse effects were defined as death, life-threatening, inpatient hospitalizations or prolonged hospitalizations, persistent significant disability, and birth defects. This was done on data collected on 6-month follow-up after the first vaccines were first given for the original strain of COVID. For Moderna, stats were 15.1 per 10,000. Pfizer was 10.1 per 10,000 because Moderna was given at a higher dose compared to Pfizer. Combined an average of 12.5 per 10,000, which is equal to approximately 448,000 severe events in the U.S. and 10.6 million globally. And now they want us to take another booster, and it has been shown that the more jabs you take, the more severe events occur. And this jab only has had studies released on 8 mice. Do your own homework. Make your own choice. But for God's sakes, do your homework so you can make an informed decision that you can live with. A lot of you have taken jabs in the past. I did too, but I will never do another jab as long as I live.
Well, that is your choice to make, as you obviously said here, and people knowing what the risk factors is, having those, again, honest conversation with their doctors is key with this. I know there's a lot of people that have talked about whatever medical official has been talking about the national level. I know Fauci has been quite the lightning rod of opinions on his own here, but I never found that it didn't affect my conception of this much here, because sure, I was taking that advice as I take all the other advice, but we're looking at what my personal situation was, what it was for that of my family, and going with what made sense for us here, because that's the only thing. That's what it boils down to and what it should be. So, I mean, the idea of adverse effects, according to the Health and Service, HHS.gov here, they usually list the idea in general, not for any specific vaccine here, as adverse effects being rare, but between 1 to 2 people of 1 million doses here. So we're talking, if you're talking about the 10,000 size, that would certainly be a much larger ratio here. But those ratios and those stats are very important to keep in mind, because there are going to be people out there who have risk factors, either with the ingredients of it or with facets of this technology here. Yes, mRNA is relatively new when it comes to vaccine technology and the science behind it here. We took that into consideration when we made our decision to get it as well, which is why I'm still looking at things coming out like this very intently and with a lot of interest in knowing, okay, what are our next steps? What should we worry about? What should we be considering as we make those next level decisions? We have begun considering what will happen with this potential next round and what that might mean for us, what our reactions, what our individual risk factors are, which is pretty much what everyone needs to do. And anyone, and I do mean anyone, whether they're deciding to or not, if they're just taking someone else's word as law on this, I think they're doing themselves a disservice, because not understanding the factors and how it affects them is just not a way to go through life. So knowing what it is and what the impacts are and potentially could be are a very critical part of everyone's decision coming to this.
And just to make an intelligent decision,
Oh,
not just based on what you're hearing on TV and the mainstream media. So, do your own homework, but, please do. And it really, the other thing is that, one thing that you can do for yourself to really help yourself is just take vitamin D.
Yeah.
If your vitamin D level is 50 or above, the chances of getting any of these COVID variants go way down. And again, people of color, Hispanics have historically low vitamin D levels. And I'm going to end that with that. One other thing is, if you are in touch with somebody or in a situation where you feel like you might have a chance of getting COVID from these people, the people around you, use a 1%. You can get this in any drugstore, 1% povidone iodine nasal spray. Spray it up your nose, spit it out because it'll go down into your throat, and then gargle with scope. And those two things will kill the virus inside your upper respiratory system, so it won't get down into your lower respiratory system.
Fair enough here. Well, thank you for your point and your call. Do appreciate it.
Okay. And let's go, Brandon.
All right. You have a good one out there. Have a great weekend.
You too. Stay well, stay safe. God bless.
You too as well, certainly here. Let's get to at least one more call before we hit that next break. Again, we are doing that whole free-for-all Friday thing, so we are taking on all the topics. Just, keep a civil mind in your head if you can while we're taking these calls, because we're definitely going to be getting into a lot of commentary here, including Edgar Ortiz bringing up the point on, his opinion, saying, I think every sanctuary city should be sending buses to the border to take in the overwhelming amount of illegal migrants, let them put their money where their mouth is. That's shared a lot of opinions on that here. And again, another part of our ongoing conversations, but other points coming up around here. And Juan Carlos Escobar Lazo adding on, and then let's build a wall around those cities. Maybe not quite getting the same point that Edgar was going on here, but the discussion will continue on. Let's get to at least one more call before we hit that next break here. And again, the number to get on the line if you want to, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have Raul in the Northeast on the line here with us right now. Raul, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew, I guess I should take my medical advice from Dr. Mumbling Ben instead of Dr. Fauci. Judge Donald Middlebrook of the U.S. District Court for Southern District of Florida has thrown out Trump's lawsuit against Hillary Clinton, saying that Trump is seeking to flaunt a 200-page political manifesto outlining his grievances against those who have opposed him. Now, Trump presented his grand Russian hoax theory, Russia, in a lawsuit alleging that Hillary Clinton and others, the FBI officials, attorneys, IT guys, had conspired against him in violation of racketeering statutes. Another loss for the Donald. And his former White House attorney, Ty Cobb, called ex-President Donald Trump a deeply wounded narcissist who acted in a criminal manner when he sought to have VP Pence block Congress from certifying President Biden's 2020 election. Cobb also said that Trump's conduct on January 6th, while his mob of supporters attacked the U.S. Capitol, could lead him to being barred from seeking the presidency. I certainly hope so. We don't need him again. He was so divisive and a terrible president, a traitorous moron. And on the FBI search of MAGA Loco, former U.S. President Donald Trump's team may not have returned all the classified records removed from the White House, even after the FBI search of MAGA Loco, according to U.S. prosecutors, calling it a potential national security risk that needs investigation. And he is being investigated, Andrew, by federal grand juries that are looking at the January 6th attack and a whole bunch of other federal grand juries. So it's happening. We're going to find out the truth, but I already know the truth. The truth is that he incited an insurrection. He ripped off El Paso for $600,000, and his rhetoric got 23 people killed here in El Paso.
You know, I disagree with that link every time you bring it up here, but let's just focus on some of those other words he did use for those other things. Could have, maybe, potentially, which are, of course, all very important foundational phrases for, you know, prosecution and legal proceedings. Like, well, he may have committed a crime, and that's why we're in court today. No, that's not how that works. And I do hope that is the standard, that if I ever find myself in anywhere near even a fraction of as serious about this here, that those are not being the ones I'm being judged by. Well, he may have, well, he could have, it maybe have happened. I don't know. We don't really have the evidence, because that's not how courts of law work. They require things like evidence. And sure, that is also why I have continued to call this entire time for the investigations to happen. Previously, of course, before the entire Mar-a-Lago situation was going on, as it has recently, with the January 6th hearings, they were nowhere near approaching the standard that I would be hoping that we should be striving for with such seriousness of potential accusations. I will use potential there unironically, because, again, we are talking about essentially a public affairs case is what it has amounted to so far. And with any of the potential follow-ups that you've also brought up here to those hearings, that's really what they are. They are prosecution in the court of public opinion, but they are not legal proceedings. They are legislative proceedings, which, again, for the whole understanding I really need people to have of the three different branches of government, the only real repercussions that could come out of this are essentially what happened to President, former President Clinton was, contempt of Congress, perjury, lying before Congress. That was the crux of course, his impeachment proceedings. And also, again, as a further note on that, the result of impeachment proceedings are not anything including jail time or any other civil consequences, fines, etc., the removal from office. So if that's truly what we are still pinning things on, that is going to be a moot point, because he's not in office. Now, to the actual point you brought up there about the idea of barred from holding further office here, we did again see something related to it, but not exactly the same circumstances, with Coy Griffin, now former Altero County Commissioner and the founder of Cowboys for Trump, who we've had previously on this show and had the opportunity to interview last year about some of these issues here, and had a very interesting perspective on the personage of the president and even his support of it. But let me just say this. Even as that has happened and that removal of office and barring from future office has been declared by a judge, without there being necessarily a whole lot of precedent, I mean, you basically have to essentially go back to the Civil War to find really, really, really similar types of circumstances here about, anything relating to that level of seriousness. And yes, the phrase insurrection being thrown around here. I know it came up previously, but the idea of there just being investigations happening and those being proof of something. I mean, you want to quote Trump himself on that about anyone being investigated is not fit to hold office here. Yeah, that doesn't exactly work that way. I disagreed with him on that point at the time, and I still disagree with him now, because an investigation can be launched into anyone. It may be investigating, saying, well, did this person do anything wrong? And the answer may come back as a resounding no. So that is why I am very interested in knowing, not just seeing that there are investigations, but the results of those and what actual prosecution comes out of that. And so I think that's our standing bet, if I've got my terms right in the back of my hand here, that if there's actually charges brought, one of us owes the other lunch, I think is the agreement we've made so far here. So we'll go ahead and take that next break right now, because we are well overdue for that. So thank you for the point in the call. Do appreciate it. But we got to get to more calls in the line, more comments, more of everything we do here on Friday on the show, which is delving into it all. Free for all Friday is what we call it and what we will keep doing here. But we just got to get that break here to make sure we get the breaks in so we can keep doing this show here. So I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. That number to call is, again, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
If you're on the I-10 westbound this afternoon, watch for a crash at the Mesa Street exit. It's blocking a couple of lanes, the center and the left lane, with a backup to the Wrestler exit. On Zaragoza southbound at Rich Beam, an accident there is blocking the left lane. A crash with police on the scene, Montana Avenue westbound after Rich Beam Boulevard. And Gateway West westbound at Horizon, that accident is cleared. All lanes back open. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag. Wendy's Biggie Bag is still just $5. Get a double stack junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT plus 4-piece nugs, small fries, and a small drink. Grab your bag at Wendy's today. Includes choice of double stack JBC or crispy chicken BLT with 4-piece nugs, small drink, and fries. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
You wash your hands and brush your teeth, but what about your nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage pulls saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, dirt, and germs, and it's why nose cleaning is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons: sinusitis, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they also find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Nearly 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying things like, "Best product I've ever used," and "Amazing, I love my Navage." That's because Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less. But the biggest payoff is improved health. Here's the key point. Navage is good personal hygiene, and it's going to help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Hey, Mario Courtney Lopez here. We know how important it is to be confident in all of life's close-up moments.
And bad breath can rob you of your confidence.
Yeah, it can. Whenever I'm rubbing elbows with celebrities or friends or just chilling at home, I got to make sure I have the confidence that comes with Smart Mouth mouthwash.
Smart Mouth is clinically proven to eliminate and prevent bad breath for 24 hours with just 2 rinses a day.
Get to your favorite retailer right now for that kind of better together confidence.
Find Smart Mouth at your favorite retailer or at smartmouth.com/radio.
Here's a message just for the attorneys out there. So you passed the bar, joined a firm, or even built your own. Now are you finding out that you're doing more administration than actual law practice? Lexicon can help. Lexicon is a legal technology provider with over a decade of experience streamlining administrative tasks like timekeeping, billing, and more, so you can focus on maximizing billable hours and increasing client satisfaction. Call 855-4-LEXICON or visit lexiconservices.com/go to learn more.
Always just minutes away from the latest news around town and around the world.
It's important to know what's going on, especially around the world.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, primarily the main one here, but also, of course, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.tv, either under Andrew J. Polk or Talk El Paso on pretty much all of those. There's maybe even some other pages up on there. I've kind of lost track sometimes because we're in all the places, or at least most of the ones we think we should be, or to make it most accessible to y'all, which of course includes our on-air signal here. So this is not to say we've forgotten y'all, which is also why we have that phone line open. Free for All Friday is definitely the thing we're doing today, meaning we're taking all those comments, calls, and all the topics that we can cram into 2 hours of airtime as best we can. So if you want to get on the line there, and we have lost someone during the break there with a fat finger moment, but if you want to call back, that number is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. And it's always fascinating to me how I can get accused of being on every side of the aisle and nowhere in between at the same time, such as being accused of spinning for Trump here. Listen, if I had my way about it, just about most of the people who have ever held office in Washington, D.C. Would be promptly escorted into the corona of the sun. But also, I would love for you to point out anything specifically I said about what I liked or disliked about the personage of the former president with that previous statement here. Because if you'll notice, the way I'm talking about this is not as oh, he's so great. How could you ever dislike this person? Because I don't hold that way for any elected official. No elected official deserves that until they've maybe earned it. But then I might kind of give them the begrudging, they're a statesman kind of label to them. Otherwise, I'm just talking about some very basic principles about how this country should be run. And the idea of, well, I don't like this person and therefore they should be having no place in public life anymore. It's sounding a lot like cancel culture there, my dude. And the idea of that being the pervasive way we deal with things in this country here. There's actually a great episode of The Orville, which started out as being kind of promoted as a parody of Star Trek, but ended up being more kind of a love letter and then even extending on its own to Star Trek. But literally, there's the idea of a society that is then governed by public opinion, that if you've done something wrong, you've gone viral in the bad way kind of thing. You could then be essentially put on trial and the general public have to vote on you here. And let's just say it's not portrayed as a good thing in this episode here. And it's definitely done by that, right-wing kook that did Family Guy. So just saying here that the idea of whims of the public being some of the things that guide our principles is never one I'm going to stick with. I don't care who we're talking about here. There are certain core principles I'm always going to espouse here. The idea of rule of law, the idea of fairness in government and in legal proceedings as much as is possible. I realize that these are the ideals we're supposed to be striving for, even if there are issues with it here. So, I mean, take it as you will. If you're wanting to call it what it is, yeah, sure. You know what? Go for it. I'm clearly not going to change your mind here, but maybe you should think about, maybe analyze the way you're coming about it on your own here. Some more of the comments here. D. Alvarado asking and making a comment about Trump derangement syndrome there and terminal cases of it. And Catherine Codry also talking about what about innocent until proven guilty and those kind of things. Ion Grimm unhappy with the current administration, saying, of course, Biden is so uniting and Biden's son is being investigated. Biden's mental condition should disqualify him from holding any office. And always points about not discussing the current president, those kind of things here. So, I mean, there are, again, certain very central things that are near and dear to me that I apply to most of the situations we encounter here. Encourage to be able to try it sometime as anyone who feels the shoe fits here. Okay, let's get to at least one more call before we take that next break and get back on track here. I do believe we've had patiently waiting Andrew on the west side here with us right now. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much. Immigration.
Yes.
I had the opportunity to briefly speak to some immigrants from Venezuela.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's really sad to see them with meager belongings that they were able to bring. But didn't get any names, and I'm glad I didn't because I don't want to jeopardize any folks back home. But
fair
anyway, they say life is unbearable under this current administration out there and the past administration.
Yeah, I had a previous chance in more than a decade ago I had a chance to work alongside during a fellowship in Washington, D.C. with a journalist, a student journalist, also had been working was pursuing advanced degrees as well, a journalist from, Venezuela. And the stories he talked about there, this was, technically, before there had been some of the major crackdowns, because I often wonder about him. He's not on Facebook. It's hard to find out what exactly happened to him because, he went back there because he was determined to try to, that was his country. He wanted the best for it here and was determined to speak about what he can. I often wonder how he's able to do that now because, okay, as much as we have a lot of discussions about migration, the immigration, border security issues we have in this area here, and the merits of asylum or not in a lot of cases, I'm not saying that in every case here, but given just the general circumstances involving the country of Venezuela, I feel like the whole asylum question is probably a lot more in their favor than the general populace we're seeing as at least arriving on our borders here.
Yes, sir. Well, according to the United Nations and the Organization of American States, this guy, what is his name? Maduro or Maduro?
Yeah, I think so. I know that Bolsonaro is the guy we wanted, but
right.
God, it's so complicated. Who do we like now? What do we need from them now? Who are we going to support is an infirm thing.
Right. Well, Maduro, the current president, well, he's not a president. According to the Organization of American States, he is a dictator and he is left-wing. Now, he does govern by decree and not by
right.
parliamentary rule or anything like that. But the Maduro administration has denied the extent of this crisis and refuses to accept any type of humanitarian aid from either the United Nations or Amnesty International.
I mean, I know I've just correct myself here. Bolsonaro is the current president of Brazil. So let me not make that. We're talking about Juan Guaido, the other gentleman that the United States had been supporting, considering the legitimate president here. But of course, as we've had this whole oil and energy situation evolving, that has fallen by the wayside. It doesn't feel to be officially anyway.
Right. Well, Venezuela has petitioned to remove itself from the OAC, and I'll repeat. According to the OAC, the OAS, Organization of American States, he is a left-wing dictator. That may cause Frankie to fall off his bar stool, but who cares? Anyway, as for Comrade Raul, I know he likes to follow the advice of Fauci, but I always seek second opinions. And I'll tell you this much. If Fauci were to recommend that we all have lobotomies, we're all going to be in big trouble if we follow him blindly.
I mean, seriously, I forgot that entire point there in responding to the rest of it. The idea of taking anyone that is not your doctor's medical advice. I don't care if it's someone talking here on the radio here. Heck, even on the shows where it's a doctor hosting it, speaking about some other broadcasts that do happen in town of syndicated shows, they say, this is not medical advice. Speak with your doctor. So taking anyone, and I do mean anyone's advice that is not literally your personal medical professional that you are in their office or seeking the care of, taking their advice without any grain of salt, any consideration of maybe how, I don't know if this applies to me or not, or any further consideration is just a bad plan.
Yes, sir. Yeah, remember, folks, your physician is the one who knows your body chemistry. There's a reason for those medical charts that they have on file vis-a-vis the computer. So, yeah, blood chemistry is and body chemistry varies by person. So, follow your physician, go to your physician.
Absolutely here. Well, thank you for the point of the call. Do appreciate it. You have a good one.
Likewise. Take care. Thank you, Andrew.
All right, sure thing. We got to take that next break right now. Get back on track and make sure we're hitting all the breaks we need to here. A lot of comments coming in here, including asking Luis Bernardo, I get paid to use words? Yes, I do. I'm called a radio host. Hi, welcome to the program. We'll get more into that after this break here with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Again, that number, if you want to squeeze on the line, is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
I'm Selena Madrid with your CBS 4 News Update. Today, Governor Greg Abbott will be in El Paso to highlight the state of the Sun City's economy. He plans to hold a roundtable at the West Star Bank in downtown. The discussion will focus on El Paso's business development and job growth. The governor will be joined by the Borderplex Alliance and several local business leaders. We will bring you coverage of the event in our later newscasts and online at CBS4Local.com. Meanwhile, the chief of the U.S. Border Patrol's El Paso sector will be leaving the Sun City behind. Gloria Chavez has been tapped to take over as chief of the Rio Grande Valley sector in South Texas. Chavez became El Paso's Border Patrol chief back in 2019 during the height of a migrant surge. She first served as interim chief before being promoted to permanent in March of 2020. There is no word just yet on who plans to replace her. Of course, always remember to stay up to date with what's happening in our area by signing up for our CBS4 newsletter. Just go to CBS4Local.com, enter your email address, and you'll start receiving our daily news updates.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
If you're on the I-10 westbound this afternoon, watch for a crash at the Mesa Street exit. It's blocking a couple of lanes, the center and the left lane, with a backup to the Wrestler exit. On Zaragoza southbound at Rich Beam, an accident there is blocking the left lane. A crash with police on the scene, Montana Avenue westbound after Rich Beam Boulevard. And Gateway West westbound at Horizon. That accident is cleared. All lanes back open. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the Forewarned Weather Center, this is CBS 4 weather forecaster Brady Brewster. We're continuing to track those warm temperatures and some partly to mostly cloudy skies on your Friday. Temperatures once again in those lower 90s. That'll continue into Saturday before a cold front moves through, only dropping our temperatures by a few degrees. We'll see about a 10% chance this weekend for a few isolated showers. Visit our website, cbs4local.com, for a full look at your forecast.
This report is sponsored by Blindster. Do you need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install and guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big. Blindster.com.
During this interruption, let's talk about disruption. Emerging new channels, cookieless media. Marketers, are you missing out on one of the most engaged audiences in today's new open web? With Viant's programmatic software Adelphic, stay in tune with digital audio, stream the future on CTV, and level up with in-game, so you can see an average 3 times return on ad spend, maybe even on this very program next time. Viant, built for the new open web. Built for now. Visit viantnow.com to learn more.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. Plastic waste in the environment persists for hundreds to thousands of years and creates serious risks for wildlife, ecosystems, and humans. Help reduce plastic waste by replacing single-use plastic packaging, bottles, and containers with reusable products. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
For the local issues and discussion you won't get anywhere else, turn to Talk El Paso, weekdays at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM, brought to you in part by the El Paso Community Foundation. Sound off on what matters to you, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., and let's talk El Paso.
It doesn't matter what you drive, it's how you get there. BrakeMaster doesn't care. We've seen it all and fixed it all. Get your vehicle in BrakeMaster shape today. Download coupons and schedule an appointment from your smartphone.
Breakmaster. We give you an honest break. This report is sponsored by Breakmasters.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or join us over on the very many different social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, and twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of people taking up the availability to make the commentary there, including on the idea of vaccines and things like that, including saying, suppose your doctor hasn't seen the studies or they're scared to lose their license by going against the state board recommending the vaccine. Calling it the worst advice here. The advice I'm really going to give you in that case is find a different doctor. If you can't have an open, honest conversation with your doctor and you feel like you're getting a rote line here, I've had that happen to myself in the past, being like, well, this is what we usually do. Okay, is my situation usual, normal, or maybe outside of that? And do we need to consider those circumstances that are individual to me here? Anyone giving you a line saying, well, this is what we usually do, like previous situations, I've had doctors that were very timid, shall we say, about antibiotics, because of course there's a situation going on with the resistance of certain diseases due to the overuse, misuse of antibiotics, things like that. And so I say, well, we don't really like to prescribe this now. And so you have to advocate for yourself as a patient. That's what it really comes down to these days. Like, okay, sure, you've got these concerns. Do I have something that requires this? And are you putting the essential, the aggregate, the big picture ahead of the individual situation that I am coming to you for? So in sum total here, if you are getting something that you are dissatisfied with the medical services you're receiving, I know it's not a kick 'em in the face kind of situation where you're going to get it right for me. Is you got to advocate for yourself and then figure out where you're going to go next with it. There are many medical providers out there. I know things have been a little bit tight lately, both with the availability and the ability to even get into them here. But seriously, caveat emptor, buyer beware, including, of course, buying of medical services. So as much as the whole do your own homework thing can be, it's somewhat taken as a line that has a little bit of politics behind it, the way some people mean it, which I don't agree with at all here. But seriously, do your own homework on who you are trusting your life, livelihood, etc. with here. That's the advice I will give you here. And some more conversation about different parts of medical providers here. D. Alvarado saying the best doctors are the ones trying to take you off medications. It's a general, I mean, I appreciate the perspective overall, but sometimes there's times when, intervention, treatment, et cetera, are needed. So willing to look at what the best outcomes are and consider them for your individual situation, because among other things, saying that you don't want a doctor that would ever say, no, you shouldn't take the vaccine. What if you're allergic to the parts of this here? I mean, seriously, that's a very important part of it. So just, caveat emptor in all the ways that I mean it here. And a whole lot more comments coming in. They're dropping those likes and reacts. We do appreciate it. Louis Pinato, Ida Beza Gardner, Robbie Flores, Monica Cervantes, and Flaco Jimenez here. There's more comments that I've been able to keep up with. But, of course, those phone calls, too, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. We do have Jerry on the northwest side of town here with us right now. Jerry, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for taking my call. I'll spare everybody my comments for Raul and his narcissistic remarks. He's a lot like Trump, just doesn't realize it. Anyway,
okay.
I have a question. I heard on, I think it was KVIA Channel 7, that there's a group of individuals coming to El Paso that are in El Paso, starting a project. I think they said Project 915. Have you heard anything about that?
I'm thinking I've heard maybe something along the lines here, but maybe not exactly that. I follow a lot of things online, a lot of not like, I think a social account I came across was like not 915, as if it was talking about it but not representing anything. So what have you heard about it? What specific questions or points did you have about it?
Well, from what I heard on the news is that they're going to sponsor people to come back to El Paso, pay for people to come back to El Paso and show them around, that have been gone for 10 or 15 years, then try to get them on some sort of committee so they can change El Paso. So anyway, they were repeating progressive in their report when they interviewed the lady, and she always repeated progressive. I think she said progressive 4 or 5 times. So it just, progressive is like one of them dog whistles for us conservatives, because that never ends real good. They always want to change things. They think they know better than everybody else, and they want to change things when in reality there is nothing new under the sun. It's just that we have new people that have never experienced what others have experienced.
Okay, the way you're talking about it there, I think you might be referring to the organization Progress 321 and their upcoming 915 week. Does that sound similar to what you're talking about there?
I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
Okay.
Progress 321.
Yeah, because Progress 321 is kind of a young professionals group that is maybe looking for things to do and things to work with in the community here. I've had some conversations. We've had them on different parts of our airway previously, and they do host other things such as like One Region, One Table and El Paso Everywhere Day, which is about like having expats wherever they are celebrate their El Paso roots kind of thing here. So that's sounding closer to what you might be talking about there, if I'm on the right track.
You might be, but I was also wondering if it's not connected to that individual you had, the young individual you had on, that wanted to set up a new branch of city government to handle the environmental portion of the city.
I think I've got that.
Some months back.
I have too many papers and too many petitions on my desk here in front of me, but okay, here it is. So yes, that is actually with Ground Game Texas, and I do believe it's also a part of it's either Sunshine or Sunrise El Paso. I sometimes get it mixed up, so no disrespect intended to them on the forgetting of the name. But so that one is, I'm sure there's probably people involved in both, just knowing some of the groups there, but not necessarily directly here, but I can understand maybe your conflation of the two.
Okay. Well, thank you, Andrew.
Yeah.
It's just, the people that are in charge and that do all this political stuff, the web that they weave is evil. And it's not doing anybody good except for making people go against each other. Just like that speech last Thursday from the president. It's all it is it puts one American against the other American. I would like for him to try to identify the difference between a regular Republican and a Make America Great Again Republican, just by looking at them. Tell me which one's which. I don't think he would be able to.
All right, well, fair enough. Well, thanks for the point in the call. Do appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right, you have a good one there. Tell you what, we're going to try to reframe, get back on track here. We got to take one more break here before the top of the hour. We'll come back, squeeze in what we can, and then, of course, another hour of the show to come here. So stay tuned. We'll talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Again, that number to call if you want to get on the line, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
I'm seeing a big backup on the I-10 westbound at Mesa Street from a crash there blocking the left lane. The backup is to Sunland Park. 6-minute delay. Stop and go traffic. Border Highway westbound at the 54 Gateway. A stalled vehicles blocking the right shoulder. On Zaragoza southbound at Rich Beam, an accident there's blocking the left lane with a backup. And Montana Avenue westbound after Rich Beam. Crash there. Slowing traffic. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster. Do you need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install and guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big. Blindster.com.
Hello?
Mike, this is Norma Jean at Sergio Lewis Body Shop near the airport. Have you seen Sergio?
I'm expecting him in a few minutes to cut a new commercial.
I'm really worried about him, Mike. He really believes he's a poet. It's gone to his head.
There's plenty of room up there. Anyways, his poetry isn't that bad.
Will you please have him call the shop?
Sure, Norma.
That's Norma Jean, Mike. Gotta go.
Yee, she's feisty. Hey, Sergio, there you are.
Hey, Mike, I have this great new poem. Check this out, man. Sometimes even our darkest moments are enlightening. Hey, what's so funny, man?
Nothing, Sergio, really. By the way, Norma Jean called.
Really? What did she want?
Oh, she was just telling me what a big fan she is of your poetry, Sergio. Sergio Lewis Body Shop at 3800 Admiral near the airport, where it's the customer's choice, not the insurance company's, and there's a lifetime warranty on all collision repair. 593-0191.
Have you thought about dental implants? Has someone told you that dental implants cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 per tooth? Please do not pay that much money. Instead, go to 1995implants.com, the El Paso dental office where beautiful, top-quality, long-lasting dental implants are as low as $1,995 per tooth, including the implant, abutment, and crown. Plus, we offer a free consultation with the dentist, free standard x-rays, and convenient financing plans to fit your budget. At 1995implants.com, dental implants are very affordable. So get rid of your cracked teeth, missing teeth, and loose, old, wobbly dentures, and get the amazing new smile that you've been wanting. 1995implants.com is conveniently located right here in El Paso. For more information, please see our website, 1995implants.com. That's 1995implants.com. Se habla español.
Tune in to the El Paso History Radio Show this Saturday, 10 to noon, here on 690 AM with your host, Andrew J. Polk, brought to you in part by Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Donovan Drive. That's the El Paso History Radio Show, 10 a.m. Saturday, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
So in life throws you uh-ohs. Just say, better get Mako.
Go to Mako.com for an online estimate today.
The La Viña Cosecha Wine Festival is September 24th and 25th. Info at laviñawinery.com.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or join us over on the many social media pages we're up on these days. A lot of conversations going on those, on the nature of it and the whole idea of rent-free I got to say that it does go both ways. Richard Lewis here saying, months since the advent of this show, our right-wing callers still allow Raul free rent in their collective heads. We think we would get past this here. Interesting point there, but also just, I guess, maybe a point of pride I will take here. We've been doing this daily since 2020, believe it or not, here. Coming up on the anniversary here of 2 years doing it this way, but the show's been around in some format or another for the better part of the last 5 years. So just saying. I don't know. I don't actually take anything of it. But Edgar Ortiz saying actually enjoy his rants. They're always well prepared. Directly off CNN. Left-wing talking points. Reminds me of why I stand where I stand. I guess that's the takeaway I hope anyone has from it is about, okay, interesting perspective and reevaluating of their own points and if they, well, how they feel about them here. Because it's one thing to have a strongly held, never challenged belief, but it's another entirely to say, okay, so this is what else is being said about some similar points or things about which I believe. How do I feel about them? Again, it's a wise mind indeed that can entertain a thought without accepting it is a very pervasive one for me here in D. Alvarado. And just, I don't think this phrase has been put on our show before. Stay mad, peasant. Anyway, getting back to those calls now, squeezing what we can here. Again, we'll be taking calls here throughout the next hour of the show as well. But right now we do have Frankie Maciel on the line here with us right now. Frankie, thanks for joining us.
All right, right out of the box. And this is to you, awful Andrew. I don't fall off of bar stools. I am a learned, liberal, drinking level person. Plus, they provide me outriggers on my bar stool. It's impossible for me to fall off. The only way I fall off a bar stool, awful Andrew, is when one of you drunk, dummy, dotard, doofus, conservative kooks knock me over. So forget about it. What do you think of them apples? Bad try. Now, the other point. This girl, this supposed judge in Florida, she's got to be totally embarrassed if she's got that capacity. I don't know. I mean, maybe she doesn't. Maybe she has no clue whatsoever about being embarrassed. But, I mean, the people in Michigan law, where she graduated from, they must be mortified to think that one of their classmates has got this kind of stupid opinion thinking. It's unbelievable. She's going to get so smashed by the 11th Circuit Court. She's got, I swear, by God, by the gods of old, she's going to resign. She's going to resign because she'll be so embarrassed if she's got that capacity. That's what I want to say.
Okay. I mean, I'm glad to know you're staying safe with your extra supports there on the bar stool, but specifically to Florida then here. I mean, I think you're talking about the one with the whole special master situation and the release of some of the information about the documentation and kind of those, it's like breadcrumbs essentially are coming out of that whole situation there about the investigation. I mean, I think that upon appeal, the Justice Department has already said it is appealing part of it here, and we'll see what the Circuit Court does. I honestly expect this pretty fully to probably escalate all the way up to the Supreme Court, so we will see here. So we'll see what comes with it. I think only time will tell here, though. I don't expect necessarily any resignation, particularly in Florida. You really think that a judge of that persuasion is going to resign?
Yeah, no, well, again, if you've got the capacity for a sense of embarrassment at that position, I would be mortified myself. Why, if I had the ability to become a federal judge and made such a boneheaded decision like that, I'd be mortified. I would slink away. I'd be so low that even awful Andrew couldn't find me. I'd be so low, crawling out the door. That's what I want to say.
All right. Well, thanks for the point in the call.
And have a nice weekend, Andrew.
You there as well. Have a good one there. Tell you what, we got to take that next break now. Coming out of this break, we will get to more of the comments, calls, and everything we do. That number again, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso. You're on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Eastbound on the Liberty Expressway, stop-and-go traffic going on from the 54 Gateway to the Loop with 7-minute delays. I-10 westbound at Mesa, an earlier crash block in the left lane, still causing a backup back to Sunland Park. All lanes are open from an earlier accident in Zaragoza, southbound at Rich Beam, and an injury accident, police responding to at Red and Thorn. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This is Cecilia Abbott. Greg Abbott is my husband and our governor. Greg and I met at the University of Texas. We married soon after. I came to know what Greg Abbott was really made of when I saw how he responded to his accident. At just 26, a massive tree fell on him, paralyzing Greg for life. His recovery took months, but Greg never gave up. He often says challenges don't define our lives. Instead, it's how we respond to those challenges that defines us. Greg and I have known triumph as well. The joys of our marriage and adopting our daughter Audrey have shown me the depths of his love and commitment. Greg and Audrey have a great relationship. He's taught her how to deal with the trials of life. Hard work, perseverance, and family. Those values define Greg Abbott, and they guide him every day as governor of Texas.
Political ad paid for by Texans for Greg Abbott.
3D printing, cyber defense, robotics, automation. This is advanced manufacturing, and it's El Paso's next frontier. One that our region has been building for years, and it's shaping us to be the hub for what the future holds, bringing a new era of progressive education, future-forward jobs, and higher wages. The next chapter starts now. Visit elpasotexas.gov/next frontier to see how our story unfolds.
My name is Jay Winnick. My brother Glenn died in the 9/11 attacks. Glenn was an attorney and a volunteer firefighter. On 9/11, he courageously ran into the South Tower to save lives. Glenn's bravery inspired me to co-found the nonprofit 9/11 Day, which has turned the anniversary of 9/11 into a national day of service. This year for 9/11, please pay tribute by doing what Glenn would have done. Help others in need. Visit 911day.org to find out more. Thank you.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Chris Coraggio. King Charles says he's solemnly pledging himself to uphold the constitutional principles of his nation as its new monarch. In a pre-taped address after the death of Queen Elizabeth, he praised his mother's dedication to her people, adding it never wavered. He added the respect and admiration she got became a hallmark of her reign. Vice President Kamala Harris is leading a meeting of the National Space Council today as part of her trip to Texas. In a speech prior to the start of the meeting at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Harris reiterated the Biden administration's commitment to establish rules for private space travel.
Because these capabilities are so new, few rules currently exist to ensure that they are conducted safely, effectively, and sustainably.
The vice president said the regulations will enable competition and ensure that the U.S. remains a role model for the responsible use of space. Texas is the home to two major private spaceports, SpaceX's Starbase and Blue Origin's Corn Ranch. Texas officials say more than 10,000 migrants have been transported out of the state. According to the governor's office, most of the migrants have been bused to Washington, D.C., but others have been sent to New York City and Chicago. Governor Abbott announced in April that the state would begin busing migrants to designated sanctuary cities in response to the surge of illegal immigrants that have crossed the southern border. Leaders of those cities and states that received the immigrants have blasted the governor's plan, and Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has since declared a public health emergency. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson will play the 2022 NFL season without a contract extension after the two sides failed to reach an agreement ahead of Jackson's Friday deadline. Coach John Harbaugh says he's still optimistic a deal will eventually get done.
Those things will work themselves out in the end. I'm confident that. I think I said at the beginning, that'll happen when it's time, and when it's time, it'll happen. So Lamar's playing quarterback. He's going to be playing quarterback here for a long time.
Jackson is set to earn $23 million under the fifth-year option on his rookie deal. I'm Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio. A new study finds a link between artificial sweeteners and heart disease. Published in the medical journal BMJ, researchers issued a warning to people who consume large amounts of sucralose. It's found in Splenda, along with other products, including ice cream, canned fruits, and flavored yogurts. It can increase the risk of coronary heart disease. According to NBC News, several other studies have also shown that artificial sweeteners are linked to other health issues like organ failure, diabetes, and increased risks of cancer. Football fans are mad at NBC for cutting into Ozzy Osbourne's halftime show during the Los Angeles Rams NFL season opener on Thursday night. The Buffalo Bills played at the Rams at SoFi Stadium, and the rock legend provided the halftime entertainment by playing Crazy Train and his new song, Patient Number 9. NBC, however, played only 10 seconds of Osbourne's performance before cutting into a recap of the first half. The fans were furious and vented their anger on Twitter. A Central Ohio man will spend time behind bars for harassing an actress in California.
Federal prosecutors say 58-year-old James Rogers of Heath, Ohio, harassed actress Eva LaRue for 12 years, mailing dozens of letters that also threatened her daughter, starting when that girl was 5. The actress, who's appeared on CSI Miami and The Young and the Restless, moved multiple times, slept with weapons nearby, and more. Rogers started specifically going after LaRue's daughter in 2015, calling the school that she attended. He pleaded guilty in April, and now he'll spend the next 40 months in federal prison. I'm Jack Crumley.
Hulu is renewing The Handmaid's Tale for a 6th and final season. That comes just before its 5th season premiere of the Elizabeth Moss-led series on September 14th. General Motors is unveiling its 2024 Chevrolet Equinox EV. The electric vehicle will cost about $30,000 as GM continues to expand its EV offerings. The Equinox EV looks much like the gasoline-powered vehicle. However, it's over 7 inches longer, 3 inches wider, and lower to the ground. I'm Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio.
This report is sponsored by Blindster. Want to save big on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blind shades and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Shop Blindster now and save 45% off any order. Just use code RADIO. Offer ends soon. Shop today. Blindster.com.
The El Paso Community Foundation supports the causes you feel passionate about here in the borderland, whether it's education, social services, arts and culture, the environment, health, or economic development. The El Paso Community Foundation has been promoting philanthropy and progress in our hometown region for more than 45 years. Make your mark with us. Start a fund today. For good, for El Paso, forever. Learn more at epcf.org. That's epcf.org.
Imagine for a moment that this ad was bought autonomously. Welcome to the new open web, where Viant is combining AI and human insight to create autonomous media buying that accelerates your return on ad spend. And using Viant's DSP Adelphic, you can now measure your media offline and online to see the full impact of your media spend, so you can spend more time on podcasts. Viant, built for the new open web. Built for now. Visit ViantNow.com to learn more.
The Stuff They Don't Want You to Know podcast delves into popular culture's most persistent mysteries. Now, there's something else that the guys at Stuff They Don't Want You to Know want you to know. They've got a new book coming out. Packed with illustrations, the Stuff They Don't Want You to Know book is written in the same smart conversational style you love hearing on the podcast. Available October 11th. Pre-order now at StuffYouShouldReadBooks.com. or wherever you buy your books.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. We mentioned all of those places because, well, we got comments coming in from pretty much all of them right now here, and a whole lot of commentary in between about all the subjects and more. You keep coming up here, bringing up others here, because that's what we do on Fridays. Free for All Friday is what we talk and what we talk about and what we call it as we get into everything y'all want to get into on the show today. Gloves are off, restrictions are removed. You still can't swear. Don't do that, otherwise we'll have to dump you off the line. But otherwise, we'll take on any subject, all the calls, all the callers, and comments that we can squeeze into 2 hours of the program here. Getting into hour 2 here now. Phone lines full up as they pretty much usually are throughout the program here. But if you want to squeeze in, and pro tip, wait for one caller to end, and then that's a good time to try it again. That number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. That whole, thing for the point and call thing, I say, is not just a politeness that I try to do, but also kind of your indicator of what's going on with the show at that point in time. Anyway, Richard Lewis responding back to me about his commentary, saying, duly noted, Mr. Polk, respectively. Think you continue to miss my point. Nevertheless, keep up the good work. I appreciate that, and not trying to miss the point here. I guess your point is about the whole idea of living rent-free and letting other people, even on the commentary, have too much of their rental space. I mean, I think there's a lot of free real estate going around in a lot of these discussions. I think there is a point that you're bringing up there, but I didn't take it personally if I tried to, if it seemed like I was, and saying that you didn't know the full extent of the show. I don't expect anyone to know about the whole history. And we do have new people calling in, commenting, and saying things just about every day these days. So there's always someone that needs to know what's going on. So fully embrace anyone finding out about the show, becoming a part of it, choosing to chime in as you did there. So fully appreciate that. Some of the other comments coming in here, Edgar Ortiz, on the commentary of people saying, Frankie is cool, always entertaining. At least he admits who he is. Interesting perspective there as well. Ted Gores about the special master, the DOJ greedily overstepped like usual. Interesting point there. RJ kind of taking me to task here a little bit, seems like, over the idea of the vaccination, the shot to prevent from infection. How do you feel about being lied to by Fauci and Bricks? Is it more than you can handle mentally? I mean, no, we're doing pretty well here, at least I thought anyway. But again, what those people you're referencing there are saying, and I've said this all along, didn't really impact me much either way here. Sure, they were definitely pushing it, as I fully expect general public health officials to do here, but the decisions that I made about my medical history, decisions, etc., were based just on that, the personal decision. I'm not taking any talking heads advice on anything when it comes to how to live my life, the values that I hold near and dear, or the medical decisions I made. So again, if you have that big and living, well, keeping with the rent-free theme there, giving them some free real estate, beachfront or otherwise in your heads, okay, that's your situation to deal with. The situations, the way I dealt with them, were looking at my personal situation, the medical information I did have, the conversations I had with my personal medical officials and professionals, and going from there. So also on the idea of masks and all that kind of thing here, I mean, sure, if you got your source that you trust to, sure. Again, it's one thing to say that you can do what you want and you make your own decisions here, but then others say, but you can't make your decision like that. No, you made your decision wrong. If you're not going to the same decision I am, you're wrong here. We can agree to disagree, but if you're saying that we can't even disagree, then we're going to have further issues there. But some more commentary coming up here, including Edgar Ortiz bringing up, on a local note, the growing pains of I-10 east from Vinton to Red are absolutely aggravating. I'd rather take the Anthony Gap to town or avoid going altogether. My small town of Anthony has just about everything I need. Well, that's a good thing about having local and, built out communities out there. But yeah, the growing pains, and it's not going to get better. As a side note, there's been some votes going on, some state bodies, particularly TxDOT, involved about what's going to be going on the I-10 expansion, basically everything south of what you just described, because, of course, Red Road is just one section. Eventually, that project that you're talking about right there is going to extend all the way to Mesa on the west side, but it's also not going to stop there, because that's, sure, a definable expansion of the roadway to essentially make it congruent between that point, again, Mesa, and the state line, staying about that 3 lanes throughout. That's one thing, but there's a whole lot more refit, redo, everything basically going on between then the rest of the county is the best way I can describe it. Sure, maybe not too far out once you get past like the east side and far east side and Joe Battle and those kind of things, but everything up to that is on the table for projects coming up here. So buckle up literally and figuratively for years to come. Best way I can put it right now. But that's enough for me. Let's get back to those phone lines. Again, the number to call is 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. We do have Julie on the east side here with us right now. Julie, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Andrew. I just wanted to thank Raul and Frankie for opening my eyes. I had no idea how hateful the Democrat Party and the Liberal Party could be. And I just don't be voting for that anymore. I don't care, and how naive. Look at what Biden has done. The El Paso people alone, they are having a hard time of it. I see it every day. They cannot afford this gas, the high price of food, nothing. And I feel like, why are we spending $40 million or whatever they're sending to El Paso to upgrade it when we have so many people in need here, besides the open borders? And I think they're both naive. I think they need to educate themselves on what they call our ex-president Trump a traitor. Well, let's look at this laptop a little bit, dissect it, see what's really in there, because I'm thinking that it's Joe Biden who's the traitor, and I think they need to open their eyes. And that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you very much for taking my call, Andrew.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you for the point in the call. Do appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, you have a wonderful weekend there. Here, I mean, there's the whole thing about whenever you point the finger, you got three more pointing right back at you because that's what a hand looks like. And I mean, there's the whole idea also as well of projection. And I think there's a little bit more than that than at least I can remember anyway that happens in our politics these days here about what you accuse others of. You are then worried about doing yourself here. Cheating relationships is another way I've heard it put, that the people who are jealous or suspicious of their significant others are often that way because outside of definable point about behavior, I found your emails with your baby mama or whatever kind of situation as that's what they expect because they are doing it themselves. So, I mean, there's a whole level of discourse to be had there and gets petty beyond here. But that's why, again, I try to go with then policies with what are the people actually doing here? Because sure, we can argue the various merits of, oh, this person's personality is great. I'd love to have a beer with this person. There are plenty of people that I'd love to have a beer with, could have a great conversation with, that I want nowhere near public office, anywhere at all, any level. I don't want them for local dog catcher, for that matter. The idea of them having even a tenuous iota of power. Oh, I can just hear Eric Cartman in the back of my head. Authority. And there's plenty of elected officials that I have absolutely no interest in ever meeting or having anything to do with personally, but think that they may do a decent job in their position. That's not necessarily a whole lot of them, but still, that's kind of the dichotomy I look at and the way I treat it anyway. So again, the idea of there being these double standards is irksome at best. Because if we just have some like consistent, like, okay, what do we actually want to happen? What do we want to have done for our country, state, local, national, whatever, what have you? And then how are we actually going to achieve it? Looking at it from that standpoint, I find to be entirely more useful here. So not meaning to pick on you there, but it just the point that you're bringing up there reminds me entirely of that here. So again, I do appreciate the point in the call here. Let's get to another call here on the line. Do some cleanup here with the callers and comments here, along with more commentary coming in. Again, dropping those likes and reactions, we do appreciate D. Alvarado, Louis Panado, Ida Beza Gardner, Robbie Flores, Monica Cervantes, and Flaco Jimenez, and a whole lot more commentary there here. Do have Tony from calling in from the Mission Valley on the line here with us right now. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I just want to know how naive can Republicans be that, I don't know, but I just got to tell you something that happened in the past. There's two presidents that people wanted to beat up. One of them was Bonzo, who is Ronald Reagan. After he left office, he was going to make a speech, and some college professor was going to beat him up, but, you know, the Secret Service stopped that professor. You know, he got sent to prison for it, for attempting to, assault a former president. And another one that they attempted to assault was that moron that we had in the 2000 was Bush. You know, he was spoon-fed most of the in his second term, he went to South America, and he wanted to get beaten up by the people of I don't know if it was from one of the countries. Now, I don't think they know what's going on. You know, they're very naive. And not only that fiasco, I think that really 911 was set up by the government to get us into a war, you know, two wars that we didn't win. And they would seem to want to forget that. But I've never forgotten. There was no military victory like there was in Japan, against Italy, or against Germany. But I'll just tell you one thing, but it is true that spoon-fed baby Bush was. They wanted to beat him up when he took a trip to Southern. I was just laughing, you know. I laughed, you know, when I saw it on TV. And the same thing with Bonzo, the Republican president that we had. Well, that's all I have to say, man. You know, just to let them know about history. Let them know about history. What happened? You know. Have a great day.
Sure thing. Thanks for the point in the call there for what it's worth, I suppose, here. I think if I'm remembering the incident you're talking about accurately with what happened on with George Bush, George Bush Jr., I guess I should say, GWB. The idea of, I think you got the shoe thrown at him. I thought that happened in Iraq, but maybe I'm mistaken there if I'm thinking about the same incident that you're referring to there here. But I mean, there have been assassination attempts in other ways. I mean, beat up, sure, maybe a funny-ish way to put it here, but it stops getting real funny real fast whenever we start talking about people wanted to incite violence, enforce their political goals via violence on any presidency. The fact that, of calling that out here, which is why, broken clock twice a day kind of thing, calling out political violence in a lot of ways is important, because it's not how this country operates, nor how it ever should, because then we start getting into fascism. I know we've had the whole left-wing, right-wing dictators thing brought up here recently, but that's really what it is that those that are ruthless enough to want to seek power regardless of the cost will take any avenue it could. I know Stalin often shows up as an example, but studying Stalin's history shows that had he been shown a right-wing path to ultimate power, he probably would have taken that as well, because the fact that people keep missing is the idea that, oh, this ideology leads to it or not here, and maybe there are some finer points in there we can debate here, but ultimately people who seek power because they want the power, not because of necessarily, in the ultimate sense of it, any real goals they have coming from it. They want their will enforced regardless, and that has a very simple phrase behind it. It's called, I know fascism is a popular one to throw around, but it's called totalitarianism, and it means that my will be enforced regardless here, and if there's a lack of controls, a lack of balance of powers, separation of powers, checks and balances, etc., which we're supposed to have in this country, but given the whole centralization of power, concentration of power within the executive branch that everyone decries, every party decries whenever they're out of power, but when they then wield that power, they find themselves loath to want to remove it there because, well, now they have the reins of power, and maybe they can do some good with it in their own minds anyway. That is why I keep coming back to several core concepts of, if you have a concern about a power existing being too broad, if your enemies wielded it, that it would therefore, or political enemies anyway, I'm not talking about someone who literally wants to scream like death to America kind of things here, but your political opponents, those who are still your own countrymen and kin kind of thing here, if them wielding it terrifies you to death, that power shouldn't exist here. But also just one finer point that's going to irk me if I don't bring up here, the idea of there not being the victory like over Japan. The conflicts of this century and millennia have been inherently different. There's a reason we have called it the global war on terror, as much as that is a phrase that will probably have a lot of interesting treatments in the history books, or at least already starting to have to, as we are more than 20 years out of 9/11, as you're referring to there. And I kind of generally categorically reject any of the false flag kind of mentalities or justifications that come up here. But to be more specific, that to say that there was no victory parade, so how do we ever win? We were inherently battling stateless entities for the most part by then going after their state harboring allies, but still therefore not, besides from the actual, taking out of Osama bin Laden that happened, which still incredibly happy about, regardless of the administration it happened under, the organization has continued on and continued to evolve. You can draw a line from Al-Qaeda to the ISIL, Islamic State in the Levant, and that cult, more commonly known as ISIS, of course, here. Just, I don't want to give them that name unless we're talking about Daesh. But then also the unrest that is continuing happening in Iraq here. We were dealing with and continue to deal with stateless entities that have no interest in truly governing, Islamic State being a weird one, but otherwise just wanting their ultimate control however they can get it. Again, back to that idea of totalitarianism, just of a different flavor, essentially, here. Then RJ pointing out that, yeah, showing a man the bottom of your shoes is an insult was a part of it there. Yeah, it's an interesting one there. Then Fred Mark is calling out Bob Dole. If I missed the Bob Dole reference in there, I don't think I picked up on that one, but yeah. Okay, one specific question, D. Alvarado asking me, Andrew, why is El Paso a blue county? Most of your callers clearly aren't Democrats. We have the audience that we do on this station, and I'm not surprised about that, but honestly, the whole idea of El Paso being a blue county, okay, we're going to answer this one quickly because I got to hit that next break here, but essentially, sure, El Paso is blue for Texas. If we were in literally any other state that is not Texas, this would be purple at best and probably even considered right-leaning in any other true blue state, having lived in a couple of those in my life as well here. But really what it comes down to is that El Paso is not a blue county. It's not a red county. It's not a green, pink, purple, magenta, fuchsia, whatever county. It's a non-voting county. And that's really what it comes down to here. So sure, the majority of those that do show up to vote tend to vote blue. Here's the thing. It's nowhere near a majority of the actual, much less the population, the actual voting a population and registered voters here in El Paso. So we want to start getting to those kind of answers here. Let's start talking about what it takes to organize people to get to the polls. That's where the real answer to your question lies here. But let's take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, more calls on the line, more of everything we do here on Friday. Again, you are listening to Talk El Paso, airing live here on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. The number to call is 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Police are responding to a crash northbound Americas Avenue at Alameda. I-10 westbound at Reynolds, a crash reported there. An accident that is now just blocking the left shoulder. I-10 westbound at Mesa, still causing a backup to Sunland Park. And the spur is slow. Liberty Expressway eastbound from the 54 Gateway to the Loop. It's a 5-minute delay. And an injury accident red at Thorn. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster. Want to say big on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blind shades and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Shop Blindster now and save 45% off any order. Just use code RADIO. Offer ends soon. Shop today. Blindster.com.
During this interruption, let's talk about disruption, emerging new channels, cookieless media. Marketers, are you missing out on one of the most engaged audiences in today's new open web? With Viant's programmatic software Adelphic, stay in tune with digital audio, stream the future on CTV, and level up with in-game so you can see an average 3 times return on ad spend, maybe even on this very program next time. Viant, built for the new open web. Built for now. Visit viantnow.com to learn more.
Hey, Mario Courtney Lopez here. We know how important it is to be confident in all of life's close-up moments.
And bad breath can rob you of your confidence.
Yeah, it can. Whenever I'm rubbing elbows with celebrities or friends or just chilling at home, I got to make sure I have the confidence that comes with Smart Mouth mouthwash.
Smart Mouth is clinically proven to eliminate and prevent bad breath for 24 hours with just 2 rinses a day.
Get to your favorite retailer right now for that kind of better together confidence.
Find Smart Mouth at your favorite retailer or at smartmouth.com/radio.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply. Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text HUNK to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text HUNK to 42424. That's HUNK to 42424.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone?
Do flowers have best friends? I don't know.
Hey, look.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of comments coming in there from a lot of places. Kathy Coder, in response to what I was talking about right before the break about our whole non-voting status that I maintain as well. Okay, let's, in simple terms, if no vote was a selection that would be, say, automatically chosen for you, if you were a registered voter in El Paso County and you did not go to the polls, that single selection would win all, and I do mean all, seats in El Paso. If there's an outlier out there, I'd love to know about it, because I'm not aware of any election that has any one candidate gotten actually more than 50%, not of just who voted there, but of all the residents and registered voters of that, either the county or whatever specific subsection. I mean, different mayorships or council representatives, etc. here. I'm not aware of anyone that have ever actually passed that threshold. So misinformed voters there as one of the questions about Blue County and kind of thing there. I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on there. Also, the idea of going after the Bush is a way to stick it to conservatives here. Kathy Coder kind of responding to that, saying both Bushes are an insult to America here. I'm just saying, just going after previous people. I know plenty of people who are very otherwise staunchly right-wing, I guess would be the way they would probably describe themselves here. as not being that enamored of Reagan. I know that is a little bit of a sacred cow out there, but we also do tend to turn sacred cows into hamburger on this show. So if you want to get on the line here, again, that number to call is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have Barbara on the west side here with us right now. Barbara, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to make a few comments on the Office of New America since I had such a bad reception the other day when I was commenting on this. This is an office that County Judge Samaniego created under his leadership, and the purpose of it is to seek approximately 60,000 eligible legal permanent residents who have not naturalized or registered to vote. Samaniego further stated that these individuals have comprehension, financial, and language barriers which have prevented them from going through to the voting process. And he also said that he felt that that was tantamount to voter suppression. So everything I've read has never led me to conclude that an uninformed individual is really voter suppression, but that's what he feels. So this office that he created partnered with the National Partners for New America. And that organization is backed by and linked to Democratic organizations. An example is SEIU. In 2022, 100% of their donations went to Democratic organizations. So, and they stated their goals are, and I am quoting, and that's the national partners that we've partnered with, so that they want to help lawful immigrants become a future political force. And their other goal is to swell future voter rolls. So I have a question for our County Judge Samaniego. Where did he get the authority to spend our tax dollars on what appears to be partisan politics, just based on those two organizations? And I researched it. And what I found is that many of their organizations that they associate with are left-leaning Democrats. So I scrolled down their webpage and I found one, and to no surprise, I picked Voz de la Frontera. Turns out that in July, this organization, which is a part of National Partners, which we are, went to Washington and they protested in front of Mayorkas' home. Their demand was that Biden end the 287G section, which protects our communities from non-citizen criminals such as murderers, sex offenders, gang members, just to name a few. And what that agreement is, it's between law enforcement and ICE to have these people detained and not just let loose into our communities. So then I went to see, well, I wonder if they were successful. And lo and behold, on September of 22, 12 senators wrote a letter to the U.S. Marshals Director concerned about the new policy change of 287G. They want to permit or allow and release these criminals into our community, just erase ICE. They want to let just these criminals that I just mentioned into our community. So I'm thinking more and more that President Trump is right. They're not coming after him. They're coming after us. And when I say us, I just don't mean conservatives. I mean liberals, Democrats, Republicans, independents. Why do I say that? Because the old immigration statement stated that we are to administer the nation's immigration system, and I'm quoting, while protecting Americans, securing our homeland, and honoring our values. That's the old statement. The new statement under the Biden administration says we are to embrace people from across the world who seek family reunification, employment of professionals, and opportunities and humanitarian protection. Notice there is no mention there of protecting Americans, securing our border, or honoring our values. So I asked El Paso, how has your life changed the last 2 years? They're erasing our borders. We see it every day. Everyone is coming in, even if they don't have a sponsor. We learned that. They told us that everybody would have a sponsor, which was a lie. They told us that everybody would have a home to go to, a place to go. That's a lie. They're destroying our communities and they're destroying our country. Our representatives supports every single erasing the borders, everyone coming in. They all had a place to go, which is wrong. Our community is being destroyed. And that's where she stands. And then Samaniego is partnered with an organization, and I question, that wants to help lawful immigrants become a powerful political force and to swell the voter rolls. So my question is to El Paso, and I question myself too, where is our place in this new America? We're the ones who have helped build America. And Escobar is working to bring everybody in, as is Samaniego, partnering with an organization that wants to make immigrants a political force. And they want them to swell our voter rolls. Where do we stand? If we don't make a loud and resounding voice in 2022, El Paso, we're done. The country's done. Every community needs to think about what's happening around them in their household, at work, at the grocery store, filling up your car. And now we have an organization, I think, in El Paso that is talking about the Green New Deal. Think about what's happening in California. They're driving around in EVs, and the governor is telling them, don't plug your EVs in. We need to conserve electricity. So we really need to think about it, El Paso. Please wake up your neighbors, and assess, actually, honestly, with an open mind, what you've experienced these last 2 years, because it's not an experience that we had the 4 prior years. I mean, look at your 401ks. Some people were lucky to get out of the stock market when they did and not lose what they had in there, especially those of us that are getting ready to retire. We don't have 5, 6, 10 years to recoup all the losses under this administration with the high inflation and everything. So my message to El Paso is please wake up from our coma. Let's get out there, encourage our neighbors, our friends, and try to persuade them. We don't need to argue with them. Just put the facts out there. Don't make calls or have conversations like we hear with Frankie and Raul that are so divisive and just callous and I don't know, heart-wrenching just to hear them say things. But there's a way to change things in El Paso for the better. Open your eyes. Go downtown and see what's happening today and yesterday. Think about that.
I do want to bring up one other thing here. We had a comment come in after the show yesterday here, and it's pretty relevant to what you're mentioning here, so I wanted to bring it up here. Maria Coleman sent me an email after the show, or technically a little bit earlier today, about her experience of saying, out of town this week, flew from the El Paso airport. Please inform listeners to expect delays. And in the course of the email, she goes on to describe how she saw many in line, all males, no ID or tickets, a printout in their hand, primarily non-English speaking males, and her understanding that these were people being processed through some of those planes that we had talked about from some city officials and such, and some of the response there, those that have been, being moved out of the area, be whatever their immigration status is here, and talking about their attire and saying that you have to wait in line behind groups of them, couldn't even get to escalators, had to show a boarding pass, ID, but not them, had to remove my shoes and TSA screen, not them. We had to buy expensive water, theirs free, plastic bags were American Red Cross, no Americans were provided anything. Equity is not having retired people being taxed to give others a free ride. If you can drive, do it. The final message she says there here. So there's definitely a lot going on with this, particularly in our area. I mean, as much as we've been on the periphery, we've still been in the midst of it throughout, but it's definitely hitting different here. D. Alvarado saying, among other things, spend an hour on Airway, and you'll see them all over the street here talking about some of what's going on there. And Kathy Codry on the prices saying, go check out the prices at Sam's Club, and you'll see them doubled in the last few weeks here. But to your central point there, Barbara, about waking up, we've definitely had a lot of people that have just not been paying attention to this, whatever the disconnect is, whether they don't see the impact that voting has on their lives here, they don't have the understanding of politics, they don't have the tradition of voting that exists in a lot of other places I've lived, or at very least within my family unit. We have definitely made it a point of instilling and inculcating those beliefs and those traditions, those civic duties into ourselves here. So I think that's the thing that needs to change around here, not even just for those big issues, but also for the local ones, about why we keep getting, the elected officials we have that we end up having all these issues with, or why certain things happen, because I still don't think this like this snidely whiplash, mustache twirling, they'll never stop me now, kind of thing. It's no one's paying attention, whether they know it consciously or not, or unconsciously, like, well, we can kind of do whatever we want because there's no one that's going to be talking about it. Sure, there'll be the, ankle biters that do it. I use that term somewhat affectionately. I don't think they do. And therefore, there'll be, the usual suspects complaining about it, and they don't think anyone else will care. We'll see what happens with these petitions going on right now, because that may be different among other things. I just want to bring up one other point here that El Paso Matters reporting as of late yesterday that Monday's vote on UMC's $345 million bond issue may be in limbo due to the announcement, actually an update coming right before our show here on Friday, that Carla Sierra, advocacy director in El Paso for the Libre Initiative, said they submitted more than 25,000 signatures to the El Paso County Clerk's office at 2:41 p.m. on Friday, and they needed at least 25,000. So I'm not saying that this is the mass awakening that may be being called for here, but I'm at least appreciating the direction if people are getting involved there. And so hopefully that'll answer maybe some of the questions you've been bringing up there.
Well, Andrew, just to your point, I mean, we're talking about how people in El Paso not voting. How long have they lived here? And think about the organization that Samaniego is partnered with.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to have immigrants become a future political force. How much are they going to know about our politics if people who have lived in the United States still don't have it? There's ulterior motives here, and there's no question about it. They want to swell future voter rolls with people. Who's going to educate them? Come on, there's an ulterior motive, and George is an example of it. If people would read the article of the press release that Georgia sent out with these organizations and what they stated, our eyes will just fall out, literally fall out, with the boldness to which that article describes these organizations. And to ask that question, I'll probably have to submit a open records request to get an answer.
Yeah,
so
probably.
The mountain of papers you get from that.
Oh, yeah, it's quite extensive here. Well, thank you for the point in the call.
Yeah.
Do appreciate it. You have a good one there.
Thank you, Andrew. Have a good weekend.
You too as well. All right, we got to take that next break now. Coming out of this break, we will get to more of the calls, more of the comments, more of everything we can squeeze in before the end of the show here. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. If you do want to squeeze in the line, the number is 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
I'm Selena Madrid with your CBS 4 News Update. In the past month, local judges have dismissed hundreds of cases because of a lack of action by El Paso District Attorney Ivan Rosales. Yesterday, we spoke with Assistant DA Douglas Timon about how she's now addressing the backlog of cases. He confirmed prosecutors have started refiling some of those criminal cases that were dismissed. Timon says the DA's office will also benefit from a so-called DIMS agreement with the El Paso Police Department. It's a program that allows prosecutors to screen some cases immediately with help from law enforcement instead of having to wait weeks or longer to go through the standard court process. Meanwhile, the FBI is now offering a reward of $5,000.
Hello, I'm Erica Castillo with this KFOX 14 News Update. The number of migrants released in El Paso continues to grow. El Paso Border Patrol sector is seeing the highest encounter at the moment than seen before, according to federal authorities. In the month, on average, more than 1,000 daily migrant encounters have been recorded, according to El Paso Border Patrol. Agents say it's a significant increase in migrant encounters compared to previous fiscal years. Yesterday, 133 migrants were released due to high capacity of migrants in holding at the El Paso sector central processing center. The next day, today, 350 migrants were released near community shelters, homeless shelters, and bus stations throughout the city. Meantime, the city of El Paso says it's busing out 4 charter buses a day filled with migrants since local shelters are at capacity. The city is doing this with the help of FEMA and federal funds. It's not the same program where the governor is taking criticism for busing migrants to East Coast sanctuary cities with taxpayer dollars. I'm Erica Castillo with this KFOX 14 News Update.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
On the 54 Patriot northbound at Fred Wilson exit, an injury accident's been reported. Police and medical responding to an accident Joe Battle Boulevard northbound at Rojas Drive. An accident from earlier still causing slowing on Americas Avenue at Alameda. And that earlier crash on I-10 westbound at Mesa Street exit has cleared. All lanes back open there. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
We're ending the work week with mostly cloudy skies, but our weather remains warm and dry. Expect another mostly cloudy night with light wind around 5 to 10 miles per hour, and temperatures will eventually settle into the middle to upper 60s by early Saturday. Coming up tonight, we'll talk about the weekend forecast, plus if we'll see cooler temperatures heading into next week. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kira Miner.
This report is sponsored by Blindster. Do you need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install and guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big. Blindster.com.
Beautiful, top quality, long-lasting dental implants as low as $19.95 at 1995implants.com. The El Paso Dental Office, where implants are affordable. Other places charge $3, $4, $5, up to $6,000 per tooth. Please do not pay that much. Please do come to 1995implants.com, where our price is much lower, as low as $1,995 per tooth, including the implant, abutment, and crown, which many other places charge extra for. Plus, at 1995implants.com, we also offer a free consultation, free standard x-rays, and very convenient payment options. Now's the time to get rid of your cracked teeth, missing teeth, or loose, old, wobbly dentures and get the beautiful new smile that you want at a very affordable price. 1995implants.com. For more information, see our website, 1995implants.com. That's 1995implants.com. Se habla español.
Galaxy Z Fold 4 is here to change the way you get things done. Now you can browse social media while tuning into a video call. And with the expansive foldable screen, you can use up to 3 apps at the same time. Visit Samsung.com today to order your Galaxy Z Fold 4. This report is sponsored by Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4.
The most current and comprehensive. Just minutes away at the top and bottom of the hour. And always online at KTSMradio.com.
Teens in foster care will love you, even if you don't know the lingo.
Dad bod, noun. The result of the occasional donut, always washed down with confidence.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council. Visit adoptuskids.org.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. We are just dull over the clock here today, but well, that's the kind of thing we do on Friday here when we're squeezing in as much as we can here. So getting back to those phone lines here shortly to help us get there to the end of the show here. More comments coming in. Kathy Codry, Flaco Jimenez, Stephen Christopher, D. Alvarado, Steve Ivy, RJ, Jay Visconti, and more, Fred Marquez. And a whole lot more. Dropping those likes and reacts, we do appreciate it. We do, of course, have Steve Ivy, Fred Marquez, D. Alvarado, Louis Penado, Ida Beza Gardner, Robbie Flores, Monaco Cervantes, and Flaco Jimenez. Oh, we've gotten to, I'll be surprised if I have touched on half of the comments that came up here, but also as a good reminder there, RJ bringing up, never forget 9/11 and those who served in the war on terror and the ones who lost their lives that fateful day here. We are, of course, having those commemorations coming up here this Sunday, so don't forget about the moving tribute event that's going to be happening this weekend with a Team RWB here. And also Ed Clore bringing up a point here that from the CBP newsletter yesterday, CBP has proposed remediation actions associated with the construction of the border barrier in California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas here. we'll see what comes out of that here. That's kind of an ongoing process that I know that has been suggested previously. We'll see what move forwards there. But let's get to those calls here. We do have John over in Central on the line with us here right now. John, thanks for joining us.
Hello, Andrew.
Hey there.
Okay, I have a question. Maybe you can help me with the answer.
Sure.
Okay, here's
do my
the
best.
question. Okay, here we go. Is it possible that the present administration is hiding Robert Francis O'Rourke in the Witness Protection Program? The reason I asked is because I haven't seen or heard any ads about his campaign for governor.
So I get what you're saying there. I mean, there is still going on this campaign tour. He did have that whole bout of whatever illness he had that put him in the hospital and then recuperating in El Paso here. But to my understanding, he's still been on the campaign trail here. And I'm not going to say I'm not surprised that we haven't heard his ads on, let's say, this station here, but apparently there was a significant multi-million-dollar buy that was done both in El Paso and statewide here. So to my understanding, and from some of the data I get maybe some slightly more obscure information, given that we are in media here, and so we get some information about what kind of buys are happening in across the state anyway. So I can assure you that it's happening, though I guess it wouldn't fault you if you're listening to this primarily this station that you may have missed some of them.
Okay. Also, are you planning on having him as a guest so we can ask him questions on your program?
I'll be perfectly honest with you and everyone else. We've made multiple overtures to the campaign and in previous campaigns along those lines here, but I'll just reiterate it for yes, open invitation for O'Rourke to come on the show, talk about his campaign, as is with also same for, of course, the governor here. We've made some attempts that way. Hasn't quite worked out with any of his previous visits here, timing-wise, but also for the down-ballot ones, including Lieutenant Governor, and even down to be very happy to talk with anyone there for Attorney General as well.
Okay, I'll go ahead and end my call today with a phrase that I'll be using from now until November.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look. Listen to this one. In 2024, El Chamuco will be no more. Okay.
All right, we'll see if that one catches on there. Thanks for the point in the call. You have a good one there. All right, bye-bye. I think referring there to the previous call we had, was it earlier this week? The weeks are blurring together again. We've got too much going on here within the last couple of weeks. I'm confident of that on that point there about the speech here. But let's get to at least one more call here. We do have Eddie in Northeastern Central, I think is what it's put there. Eddie, you there with us?
Yeah, I'm here, Andrew.
Hey there. What's on your mind?
Good. Listen, I just wanted to call and make some comments about some of the callers that have been calling in. The last one that you had on, she is brilliant. She is on point and she is accurate. Then you have other callers like Raul up in Northeast who are eating so many beans, are so full of them. And then you've got this cat on the west side, and he talks like he just knows exactly what he's talking about, Andrew. And I'll tell you something, boy, he's got something going on. You know, he talks about people that don't have the capacity of being embarrassed. Well, I think he doesn't have the capacity to be embarrassed. So that's what I had to say today. And I'll tell you what, Andrew, people in El Paso need to wake up and start listening to the last caller that called in, because she knows what she's talking about, instead of listening to these morons that call in.
Well, fair enough. Well, thank you for your point in your call. You have a good one there.
You got it.
All right. I mean, the commentary on commentary, it gets a little bit circular sometimes, but we'll keep entertaining it here because, well, that's what we do on Fridays, but of course. But having those conversations and the responses back and forth is honestly a sign of a healthy society in my mind. Now, that's the only sign, but a good one in any case, being able to discuss things and have the discussion out there about it. And no, someone disagreeing with you is not an attack on you. It's someone having their own freedom of speech on your freedom of speech. Let's squeeze in one more before we hit that last break here. We do have Steve down in Clint here with us right now. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Andrew. How are you this afternoon? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hear you just fine there. What's on your mind?
Oh, Chamuco no more in 24, huh? Wow. I'm not calling in to do any circular commentary.
Fair enough.
I just wanted El Paso to be aware that we have a soundstage and movie production house in El Paso now, and we're working on several projects, including a feature about El Paso history in 1881. And it's kind of exciting news for the area. And of course, we just had that big studio move into Las Cruces. I think it was $138 million deal or something.
Something like that, yeah.
just a quick note for your listeners that, we're doing some good stuff for El Paso history, and it's all local, and we support local business.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for that point in the call. You have a good one there, too.
All right. Have a great afternoon.
You as well. Have a great weekend as well. All right. I think that's going to be what we got to take that next break right now. So coming out of this break, we'll squeeze in what we can, tell you what we got coming up for you next week, and set it all up for you. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Northbound on the 54 Patriot at the Cassidy Road exit, and that accident has now got the right lane back open, just the shoulder block. I-10 eastbound at Copia, an injury accident with El Paso Fire on the scene. A crash with injuries, Montwood Drive westbound at South Kleinfeld. Lee Boulevard is an option, or Bob Mitchell Drive could be an alternate. And police are responding to a crash, Joe Battle Boulevard northbound at Rojas. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster. Do you need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install and guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big. Blindster.com.
Hello?
Mike, this is Norma Jean at Sergio Lewis Body Shop near the airport. Have you seen Sergio?
I'm expecting him in a few minutes to cut a new commercial.
I'm really worried about him, Mike. He really believes he's a poet. It's gone to his head.
There's plenty of room up there. Anyways, his poetry isn't that bad.
Will you please have him call the shop?
Sure, Norma.
That's Norma Jean, Mike. Gotta go.
Yee, she's feisty. Hey, Sergio, there you are.
Hey, Mike, I have this great new poem. Check this out, man. Sometimes even our darkest moments are enlightening. Hey, what's so funny, man?
Nothing, Sergio, really. By the way, Norma Jean called.
Really? What did she want?
Oh, she was just telling me what a big fan she is of your poetry, Sergio. Sergio Lewis Body Shop at 3800 Admiral near the airport, where it's the customer's choice, not the insurance company's, and there's a lifetime warranty on all collision repair. 593-0191.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text HUNK to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text HUNK to 42424. That's HUNK to 42424.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for having joined us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM and brought to you in part by Sunland Park, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat at 950 Crockett Avenue. Appreciate their sponsorship of the show here. And we're going to keep doing everything we do every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. as we do here. Out of time, super out of time for the show. Actually, here you can put a little cape on it. That's how much time out of time we are. I want to thank everyone who has tuned in, called in, commented, participated in the show. We have covered quite a lot of ground today, as we do every Monday through Friday here. Steve Ivey mentioning there the Star Central Studios and Six Guns and Whiskey. Aware of that production, an interesting one coming up there. I'll be looking forward to that here. Just a couple of notes here for you. The El Paso History Radio Show will be doing an encore presentation of the Frontera Land Alliance here and some of their efforts, including Casner Range this weekend. So be sure to tune in for that here. I will not be making out to Pepe's this weekend for anyone looking for that here, just due to some of the scheduling going involved there. But don't worry, I'll be headed out there again for future weekends. And just given that this weekend is 9/11, September 11th is coming up here. Be sure to celebrate and do all the other things you want to do around it here. But I just say, treat anyone you come across with that deserves it, which is everyone until proven otherwise, with kindness, with compassion, and particularly for you and yours out there. Remember on those events and how they have changed this country in many ways and our world for a lot of ways. So, And question about the other host here. Yeah, we've had some retirements and moving out of town by previous hosts here, but don't worry, the show continues on as we do every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. here on News Radio 690 KTSM on this show. So thank you everyone who did tune in, call in, comment, participate in the show. We'll do it again starting on Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. So in the meantime, before we get back there, stay safe out there. Look twice for motorcycles when on the road, and have a great evening, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow or next week, really. Bye.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Northbound on the 54 Patriot at the Cassidy Road exit, and that accident has now got the right lane back open, just the shoulder block. I-10 eastbound at Copia, an injury accident with El Paso Fire on the scene. A crash with injuries, Montwood Drive westbound at South Kleinfeld. Lee Boulevard is an option, or Bob Mitchell Drive could be an alternate. And police are responding to a crash, Joe Battle Boulevard northbound at Rojas. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Because everyone deserves excellent medical care, El Paso has its own free community medical clinic. RotoCare is a free walk-in clinic located at 301 South Schutz Drive and is devoted to improving the health of all El Pasoans, including those without insurance